Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with Figure It Out Productions. The following video is part of our Quick Shoot series. Hey guys, it's Adam here and welcome to PlayLoad. This is all my video game pickups for the month of January 2015. And as per usual, we're going to start off with things I've already shown you. But this is a little different because in this case, you've seen most of this stuff. I've done a couple of videos over the course of the month where, you know, I went to Canada, I did some game hunting and so on, then I showed you the pickups. So there actually isn't that much stuff this month that you haven't seen already. But if you only care about seeing that, you don't want to see any of the other stuff, then I've included time code. You can go ahead and see the other stuff, but I warn you, it's not actually that much. But I'll do my best to keep it interesting and say different things about the older pickups. So first up here is the Mountain Dew Limited Edition Original Xbox. According to the people in the comments, there's only 5,000 of these ever made. It's rather uncommon, but not the hardest one to find. I'm not too into limited edition consoles. When I am, it's usually for like the Dreamcast. I didn't really pursue it with anything else. But yeah, it's definitely cool to get a limited edition Xbox. It's the only one I've got. And yeah, just happy to have it. And got it at Toy Rat. I got a really good deal on this, so that was nice. The Sega Mega Drive. This is a Japanese Sega Genesis. I've never had one of these. I've had a PAL Mega Drive and obviously versions of the Genesis, but never had this. Now it's cool because obviously it looks a little bit different and all that. It actually doesn't have RF shielding inside, so it's much lighter than the North American or even European Genesis / Mega Drive. It also uses slightly different cartridge shapes, so as a result you really can't play Genesis games on it, which might sound stupid, but frankly I don't really care about that. Really what's preventing it actually is not so much the shape of the cartridge, because the cartridge will fit. It's just that when you turn it on, there's this little plastic piece, if you can see in there, right there. You see that little plastic piece? Watch this. Well, it's harder to tell, but see, I can't open it now. But if I turn it off, there's nothing there. If you turn it on, see that little piece move there? Sorry, there's construction going on outside. So because of that, you can't play North American or European Genesis games on it, because that little piece of plastic is there to basically prevent kids from putting stuff in the system when it's on and taking them out when it's on. It just kind of locks a cartridge in place. Our cartridges were designed differently. So just because of that, the games won't actually fit. If you put it in there and try to turn it on, it won't be able to activate. Now, I would cut that and remove it, but there's really no point, because I have so many other ways to play the Sega Genesis that it's totally not necessary. It was just nice to get this. Toy Rat gave this to me for free. It's in need of a cleanup. It's a little beaten up, but you know, whatever. Again, it was totally free, so that's cool. Now here's the question I have for you guys. I need feedback. So I want to do a video where I clean this thing up, because people have been asking me about doing that for a Model 1 Genesis / Mega Drive for a while. Problem with it is that the LED you see there is unique because it's wired to the top of the lid and to the bottom. As a result, you can't just take this off. You have to actually disconnect it from the top, and I don't trust myself to do it. There's multiple different versions of this, and I've already looked inside, and I kind of assessed that I won't be able to do it. So what I would be planning to do is open it up and just do kind of like a spot cleaning. Would that be worth your time? Would that be worth your time to watch that? Would you guys be interested in that? Would you still care? Let me know. Moving on, I picked up some games for the Intellivision. Beauty and the Beast, which I only got because the cover art was funny, Burger Time, Donkey Kong, and Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back. I saw an Intellivision at a store, and I was like, alright, I'm going to pass on that because I don't really ever see Intellivision games. Then, I went up to Toy Rat, and he had a bunch of them, and he had better ones than the ones I see, which are, if I do see them at all, is usually like sports titles. And so I picked them up with the hope that I would go back and get that Intellivision. However, by the time I went there, it was gone. So I actually don't own an Intellivision, but I own 4 games for it, so there you go. Hopefully I'll find another one at a reasonable rate later. I got some Atari Jaguar games, Defender 2000, Ultra Vortec, and Val Series, I can't pronounce that, skiing and snowboarding. These are all boxed and complete. I just have the loose carts out here, just, you know, to save space. But yeah, you get a really good deal, especially on Defender 2000. I think I ended up paying $60 for this, and I know that sounds like a lot, but go look it up. Defender 2000, boxed and complete, much more than $60. I got this for free. This is a Mega Man for the TurboGrafx CD 16 CD. Now, this is actually not a legitimate title. This is made by a group on Facebook called Turbo Reproductions. I got their name totally wrong in the other video. I will include a link to their page in the description. Basically, this is a port of Mega Man from the NES with better music and sound effects and so on, and it of course plays on the TurboGrafx 16 CD, which is a console I don't even own, but if I ever do get it, I will be able to play this on there. So it was really cool of them to give that to me for really no reason. I got Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story 2 for the Sega Saturn, a Japanese Sega Saturn game. Now, I'm looking to try and get a full US set of Sega Saturn games and all the European exclusives. The full US set is like 244 games. And all the European games, all the ones that didn't come out here for the Saturn, that's 32 titles. So it's really very reasonable. Japan, though, I was like, well, how many Japanese exclusives can there be? And I went ahead and I looked into it. Turns out it's 1,400 titles. So I don't think, I've kind of admitted to myself, I don't think I'm ever going to attempt to try and get all the Japanese exclusive Sega Saturn games, just because it's too unrealistic. So why did I pick this up? Well, like I said, I have the first one and I have the third one. I said that in a different video, I think. But I never had the second one. So I decided, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pick it up and complete at least that little trilogy. Cracked for the Atari 7800. I don't see Atari 7800 stuff that often. And when I do, it's usually like Pole Position 2. It's not, or Asteroids, you know, something like that. I don't see them that often. So it was nice to see this because it was just some weird looking game I've never heard of, and so I went ahead and picked it up. Now I also got a bunch of original Xbox games, both at Toy Rat and at Super 1-Up Games, so I'm just going to kind of power through them. Torque the Prehistoric Punk, Rayman Arena, Final Fight Streetwise, Constantine, Shamu's Deep Sea Adventure. I'm going to stop on this one for a second. This was, you know, a game that I probably wouldn't have bought in most contexts, but this game is actually apparently quite rare. When I say quite, I mean like it's the 30-50 range, but that's rare for the original Xbox. So the deal with this was that Super 1-Up Games had this for $4.99 Canadian, which is about $4 US, and I was like very surprised to see that. And they have a section behind the register full of the rarer titles, and the guy said I could go ahead and look up there, and they had another copy up there for 30 Canadian. And I was like, you know, why is this one 5 and that one's 30? And he's like, because the one you're holding is mislabeled. It wasn't supposed to be 5, but for whatever reason it was. But they were still willing to sell it to me at that rate, so I was happy to pick it up for substantially less money. Moving on, World War II Combat Iwo Jima, Voodoo Vince, X-Men The Next Dimension, Taito Legends, Capcom Fighting Evolution, Dukes of Hazzard Return of the General Lee. Those are all the Xbox games I picked up. I also picked up a GameCube game, Puyo Pop Fever. Interesting thing about this game is it is one of the few totally cross 6th-gen platformers. Or not platformers, sorry. A game that is totally 6th-gen cross-platform. Meaning it was on all of the 6th-gen consoles, the original Xbox, the PS2, the GameCube, and the Dreamcast. People forget that one a lot. But it's very regional. The Xbox version only came out in Europe. The PS2 version only came out in Europe and Japan. The Dreamcast version only came out in Japan, and the GameCube version, I don't know if it came out in other regions, but this is the only version of it that we got in North America. It might have been on PSP here. I know that got a release, but I don't know where. And it might also have been on the PC as well, but as far as the consoles go, they got split up. So the only one I'm missing now is actually the PS2 version, which I hope to pick up at some point. Probably the European version, if I can get my hands on it. MP3 DC. This is a Dreamcast disc, which is rare. I don't get many of those. This is pretty neat because, well, this is useless now, but basically what the deal with this was, there was a time when we had music CDs. You know, you had to have the music on a CD, and you put it in a thing, and it would have like 20 songs or so, and that was great. Then along came MP3s, and there was a brief phase before like iPods hit, which is already archaic technology now, but CDs were still around, where people were like, oh, MP3s, you can fit like hundreds of them on a CD. If only I could play that on a CD player, which you couldn't because it's a different format. But the Dreamcast had a solution, which was you pop this disc in, and then it loads up, and you take it out, and you put in your MP3 CDR full of hundreds of MP3s, and there you go. You can play as much music as you want, all on this one disc. And it's totally archaic now, but it was neat as hell at the time. Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. I got this from Pete Diak, who I did a video about his basement. Oh my, you guys have to check out this video. This dude is really cool. He let me do a tour of his basement is collection, which consists of a complete NES collection, N64, Virtual Boy, Sega Master System, nearly complete Super Nintendo. The dude's got so much stuff, it's amazing. He was really cool to let me do that. I don't usually, I mean, I plug my own stuff sometimes, but this, really, go check out this video because he had so much great stuff. And as I was leaving, we were just talking about Super Nintendo and like which games he was looking for and which one were my favorite games, you know, just shooting the shit. And he brought up, I brought up Super Mario World 1 as, I think, my favorite Super Nintendo game. And he said, oh, did you ever play the second one? And I was like, no, I very rarely have ever seen it. And usually it's loose cards in bad condition for like 50, 60 bucks. And he was like, really? And he just walks over to this stack of like extra games he had. And he had this box complete and even in one of those plastic cases. And he says, here you go, I'll sell it to you for 25 Canadian, which is 20 US. So that was a deal. So thank you again to Pete. He really didn't have to do that. That was really awesome. Like I said, check out that video. The dude has a copy of Stadium Events for the NES. I've seen it now in person, which is awesome. Definitely check that out. Now you guys might have seen recently I did a video in which I got a bunch of European Sega Saturn games and a bunch of candy. These are all games I got from a dude named Stefan, who is a friend of mine in Germany, who went around and tracked down all of the European exclusives for the Saturn that I needed, because he was able to get them at a better rate than I would be able to. So I'll quickly go through these. wizkyo 2 Flying Squadron, Terry Pratchett's Discworld, Discworld 2 Missing Presumed, Hebereki's Popoito, which I still can't pronounce, and Jewels of the Oracle. Like I said, these were all exclusives as far as the Sega Saturn is concerned in Europe. They might have had Japanese releases, I don't care as much about that. All I know is these games did not come out in the US for the Saturn. They probably came out on like the PlayStation or something else in the US, but as far as the Sega Saturn goes, the only way to get them was either through Europe or Japan, and I tend to prefer European stuff because the language barrier. But anyway, that's the end of the stuff you guys have already seen, so I'm going to show you some stuff you haven't seen. I picked up Deadly Premonition for the Xbox 360. This game is getting harder to find. The PS3 version is currently easier to get, and it is apparently the better version of the game. I don't have that. I'm still looking for it, but the 360 version is kind of rare now. It's like a $50, $60 title, and I saw this at a bookstore for $8, so I picked it up even though I intend to get the PS3 version. Oddly enough, I did do a video on this game a couple years ago on my other channel, so it's a pretty funny video. I suggest going and check it out if you're curious what this game is. And then the next couple of titles I got really kind of define my character. I got Hatsune Miku Project Diva F and Hatsune Miku Project Diva F Second, and I have no interest in these games. So you're like, well, why the hell did you get them? Well, Sega. Now here's the deal. Sega has become kind of shitty. They don't really make that many games, and when they do, they usually just do digital stuff. I really only got these for one reason, which was to support Sega's, what's left of Sega that makes physical content. It is my delusional hope that by giving them the money for these two games, it increases the probability that we'll see a physical release of Yakuza 5 in English for the PS3. I know it's a long shot, that game is coming, but digital only currently. So what my hope is, if I were to support this, then it just improves the odds that we'll get it physically. But I know that's a vain attempt to make that happen, but if you're like me, and you really like physical content, and you want them to continue to do physical releases, unfortunately, you might have to sink your money into these two games, which I had no real interest in, but I sure as shit wouldn't blame anyone who didn't want to do that. But yeah, there you go. The Hatsune Miku games. Then I got Fugitive Hunter War on Terror for the PS2. This game actually goes back to my trip in the UK. When I was hanging out with my buddy Ben Shenmuso, we found the European version of this game. I think it was called like America's Top 10 Most Wanted, and it made us laugh. We just thought it was ridiculous looking. I almost picked it up, but then found out it wasn't a regional exclusive. There was a US version, so I was like, I'll just wait to get the American version. And I finally found it. It was only a couple of bucks, and so, I don't know, it just looked really funny to us, so that was really the only reason I picked it up. So, shout out to you, Ben. That's why I picked this up. And I got a cool release here. Resident Evil for the PS3. So, this is a cool-ass release because this just came out digitally for the 360, the PS3, I think also for the Xbox One, and the PS4. Now, I don't support digital content. I think that's kind of abundantly clear. I like physical things. Hell, if I'm gonna buy this shit just to, in the vain attempt to get more physical things, you know that I must be really committed to physical things. So, the deal with this was that in North America and Europe, they decided they were just doing digital releases of this game. And what this game is the 2002 GameCube game, basically remastered in high definition. I thought, wow, that's awesome. I really want to get that. But they decided, like I said, in North America and Europe, they were only doing digital. In Japan and mainland Asia, they decided to do kind of both. In Japan, they decided we'll do physical, but we're going to have Japanese only, which is of no use to me. But in mainland Asia, they decided to do physical with English. So that's why this exists. It only exists in physical form for the 360 and the PS3 as of yet. I hope there is a PS4 and Xbox One physical version, but I don't know if that's going to be the case. But the PS3 is region-free, otherwise I would have got the 360 version, but I didn't know if it was going to work or not, because 360 was kind of a case-by-case basis, and I couldn't find a clear answer on that. But I knew the PS3 version would work here just fine, so I got that. Very cool release. Got the full English subtitles and original voice acting. Now, the coolest thing about it is that, well, this says Biohazard HD Remaster, because that's what the series is called in Asia. But they prepared for the fact that people were probably going to be importing this. It comes with a manual that says Biohazard HD, and it's got a reversible inlay. The other side says Biohazard HD, and you can actually, it also comes with a second manual, you might have noticed, that's in English that calls it Resident Evil. So it might as well just be a release you picked up here. And like I said, the back art is obviously reversible, and then you get the Resident Evil artwork. So this was definitely a sweet pickup to get, and if you are into physical media, you're into this game, this might be one definitely to look into. There you go. I got it on Play Asia, but I think you can also get this on like eBay and stuff if you prefer that. And finally, I got a package. This is kind of a strange one. I got this package quite a while ago, like a little over a month ago, and I had no idea what it was. I almost opened it up, because I just looked at it and was like, what the hell is this? Here's why this was confusing to me. It has a Japanese return address, but it has UK postage on it. So I didn't really know where this came from. It says game console on it, but I didn't order a game console. So I was just totally confused. The box says Nippon on the side, which means Japan in Japanese. And I didn't recall talking to anyone. I wasn't expecting anything, and it has no other return address, so I didn't know what the deal with this was. So I almost opened it, and my girlfriend stopped me, and she said, don't open that yet. And I was like, okay. She knew what it was. The deal with that is that my girlfriend runs my company's Facebook page, Figured Out Productions, which there's always a link in the description. You can go follow it. We post about the videos and just random stuff on there. And I don't really do much on Facebook. She kind of handles that for me. And in this case, apparently someone contacted her and said, hey, I got a package that I got a thing I would like to send to Adam, but I don't want him to know what it is. And so if it's at all possible, can you give me his address, blah, blah, blah. And so she apparently just had this sent here, and I still don't know what it is. The only thing I do know is there's a letter inside, and I'm not supposed to read it to you guys. Sorry, that was proving impossible to open on camera, so I just went ahead and cut it. Now, my girlfriend just reminded me, Mrs. Claus, that this was sent by a guy named Cal. So, yeah, thank you, Cal, for whatever this is. We're about to find out together, so let's go. We have, looks like this note, which I'm not supposed to show you guys, I guess. And, oh my. Wow, is that what I think it is? You guys see that? I think that's what I think it is. We have a power supply. Yes, that must be what I think it is. Let me see if I can get this out here with just one hand. We have, it is an orange GameCube. Wow. Hang on, that's pretty well packaged there. An orange GameCube. Wow, that's really cool. Certainly wasn't expecting that. Okay, so, and a power supply. Wow, Cal, why'd you send this to me? Yeah, orange GameCube. This was only released in Japan. They had different colors that we didn't have. We had black, platinum, and purple or indigo in North America. I think in Europe you guys also got a white one. In Japan they had, this was the most common other color that we didn't get. That's really cool. I've never had one of these. That's really cool to have one. Awesome. Thank you, Cal. I was certainly not expecting a orange spice GameCube. I was actually kind of looking into getting one of these one day, but wow, you really saved me the trouble of doing that. Wow, that's really awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I don't even know what else to say. Thank you. You really didn't have to do that. No one would have to do something like that. That's really neat. But yeah, anyway, I've gone on long enough. Thank you to Cal for that. Thank you to Stefan for hunting these down for me. And, you know, thank you to Toy Rat and Super 1-Up Games for having awesome stores. And, of course, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all later.